This is Rev-FM, your classic rock station, and the Harley Show at 7:25. And we have in-studio guest Patrick Ofiel, and he's, we were joking about it earlier, he likes it so much here he's inviting his own guests onto the program. So tell us why Cade joined you this morning, Patrick.
Well, Cade's out at Laha. He does development out there, and we've partnered up to in a recovery type defense that we're bringing.
Defense,
right? Okay,
everybody knows what rehab is. Everybody knows what recovery is. There might be, and I know sometimes when somebody goes to court, they're told they need to go to rehab, so they get past this addiction that caused their problem, whatever the addiction is. So is that what you're talking about? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes up in a lot of issues. Basically, we can't arrest ourselves out of the drug problem or DWI problem or anything like that. So, the amount of money taxpayers spend on this per year is just astronomical, even nationwide or even in the state of Texas. But the truth of the matter is, if you're trying to do some type of probation or some type of alternative sentencing, these people need to be clean. They need to be able to go through a treatment, because if not, they're not going to make that probation. They're probably going to reoffend. And we need to be able to present that to the courts and get the courts involved in it and the prosecutors in an effort to move forward, save money for the taxpayers, but also to help these people. There's all types of problems that result from incarceration. I mean, you got the family that's left behind that still has to get government benefits. We got people with a disease. Addiction is a disease that can be treated, but what happens when we get a felony conviction, then that problem rolls forward in that, okay, now they come out of prison, they have a felony conviction, they can't get a job, they can't make it, financially, and then so they reoffend. And we need to try to prevent that on the front end. And a lot of this is most of the time going to be for nonviolent offenders. I mean,
they say
recovery is not going to fix everything.
Right. If you emptied out all the drug offenses or drug-related crime out of prison, they say we'd almost empty our prisons.
Yeah, I was looking at some of those statistics. The arrests in 2012 for nonviolent drug offenses was 1.5 million. Of those, 749,000 were marijuana, and 88% of those were just possession offenses. And so the amount of money we spend on that, locking people up without treatment, is really high. It's about $30,000 a year in Texas to incarcerate somebody per year.
One person. And the deal is, somebody doesn't go to prison just for having some pot in their car, having one drunk driving conviction. It's the repeat. So it is that addiction process that ends up putting somebody in jail. Right.
For example, a lot of time your first time arrest on less than a gram of a controlled substance like cocaine or something like that could be a mandatory type probation offense. The problem is, if we don't get that treatment for them, that the likelihood that they're going to reoffend is really high.
Right.
So if we don't fix the problem on the front end, we're just going to have those same problems repeat.
Of course, you can't make somebody stay in treatment. A lot of people drop out; they don't finish, that kind of stuff. I guess you see a little bit of all of that, Cade.
Yeah, sure, we do. People leaving against medical advice is, certainly, kind of part of the entire treatment process. But we have people that have come in and decided to turn their lives around and fully commit, completely give themselves to the program, so to speak. So, and part of the rebuilding process is legal problems and addressing the legal problems. High percentage of patients that are in treatment need to kind of address that when they're done. We hope that they don't focus on it while they're in treatment, but when they get out, it's time to kind of start cleaning it up. So. Patrick and his recovery defense kind of plays an important role when it comes to that.
Okay, what exactly is recovery defense? When you go into court, what is that?
Well, you're going to have to pull the court into it, the prosecutors, and most importantly, the defendant. You're going to have to show the court that it's a treatable disease. Whether that's through experts, that may be some of the people from La Hacienda or some other type of expert. You're going to have to show that the defendant qualifies for that type of treatment, that they're able to get into it, whether it's financially or through scholarships or whatnot, and that the defendant, the person charged, recognizes that they have an addiction problem and they're willing to do it. The laws are changing a little bit slow to where we're getting to a point to where they are recognizing this more. They do have.
Well, now, if somebody says, let's say the judge says, part of this lenient sentence is that you're going to go to rehab.
That's
Who
right.
pays for that then?
Well, on this end of it, this would be the private individual.
So if the judge says, okay, Harley, I'm going to go easy on you. It's your first offense. You've got to go to rehab. Then I have to figure out how to get that paid.
Yeah, and hopefully at that point when we're having that conversation with the court, this person's already been through the treatment, has already established that
I got you. Okay.
that they are clean now, they can be a productive member of society, that they got a support group. LAHA has aftercare, or they provide services after the person gets out, that they are staying clean. The neat thing about La Hacienda is that they meet with a medical doctor every day while they're out there. So there's a record of what they've been doing, what their issues are, how they're moving forward with these problems. And instead of getting the taxpayers to pay, the $30,000 a year to incarcerate somebody or send somebody to a state-sponsored rehabilitation unit that's probably overcrowded, that's going to keep somebody out for 6 to 9 months, 3 months aftercare. When they come out, maybe they're going to have a conviction. They probably lost their job. That this is a better option, not only for the person but for the taxpayers and the community.
How long does the rehab process take?
Well, at La Hacienda, Patrick just kind of touched on it. At La Hacienda, and this is not the case with all treatment centers around the country, but we really focus on continuing care. So, treatment is really customized. We have both adult and collegiate programs. Adult programs are typically the inpatient portion of the programs, typically a little bit shorter, maybe around 30 days. It's hard to kind of guess. Everything's very individualized. Collegiate programs will be a little longer, but when patients get out, we have a department focused on continuing care. That is all that they do, is build aftercare plans, continuing care plans. We have alumni programs that follow up with patients periodically for the remaining year. We have lower level of care facilities around the state of Texas, including community outreach offices, and all this is included in it's not extra charge. The community outreach programs.
Part of the deal.
Yeah, sure.
And they have those. Y'all have them in Houston, Dallas.
Yeah, Houston,
Austin.
sure. Houston, Dallas. We've got community outreach in Beaumont, of course, San Antonio.
So somebody's here for Thanksgiving, they get in trouble, but they live in Dallas, they can still go to the treatment in Dallas.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, they can go to the community outreach. The intensive outpatient programs we have, are, of course, College Station and Austin, Texas. The intensive outpatient community outreach programs are spread out all around the state of Texas, so that when they discharge, we don't just pat them on the back and say, good luck. We place them somewhere. We give them a support network to plug into, and we take continuing care very seriously.
And they have a different track. Y'all got a Christian track up there. And
yeah, we've got different tracks. Like I said, we really try to customize the treatment approach. Christian focused track, very popular. We've got professional tracks. We've recently partnered up with the FBI National Academy, FBI NAA, and they work with an organization called Safe Call Now. And this is treatment for first responders, firefighters, paramedics, police officers, detectives, FBI, where they come in, and it's grown dramatically this past year.
Now you're talking about, for example, a fireman that has a drinking problem?
Absolutely,
okay,
or
it's
a
not
prescription.
Post-traumatic stress or
Well,
something.
we do have we've got counselors. Of course, we are chemical dependency as primary, but we do have counselors who are seasoned and some PTSD. We're actually building a little more around that, working with some officers and different individuals in that community that to kind of focus on some PTSD, bringing them out to train with our counselors. So we've taken this partnership very seriously, kind of taking it to the next level, and it's awesome. It's an awesome program, and La Hacienda and Safe Call Now and FBI National Academy we're doing some great things to turn, first responders. Their motto is saving the lives of those who protect us, and you'd be amazed. Addiction doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what your social class is, what your job is.
Because we get a mental image of somebody that's kind of your repeat offender, miscreant kind of guy, and it's all kinds of people.
Absolutely.
Whether you get addicted to pain pills after you have an operation, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. That could just be the beginning of the disease. Yeah. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, fully functional people who've got addiction. And you're right. The stigma attached is the lower level people. And when I first got into the industry mentally, I mean, that's what I'm thinking, is who
you have a
we
mental
have.
image. Yeah.
Sure. And that's not the case. This, like I said, addiction doesn't care who you are.
Well, in the old days, it was like high end and low end.
That's right.
And there was not much in between,
That's right.
And the high end went to the Betty Ford Center.
Right.
And the low end guys went wherever they could.
Right.
They could
And La
go.
Hacienda is, we're a leader in the industry at a national level. We were a featured facility on the Dr. Phil show for a couple years. That brought a lot of, national, business. And the beautiful part is we are very managed care friendly. So we work with insurance companies. So, we're not, while we are a very nice facility, beautiful facility, we've got a lot of the leading professionals, doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, for treating the patients, and historically have catered to a higher end. We're managed care now, so if you've got insurance, it's no more expensive to go to us than it is to the next guy. Insurance companies they cover this as a disease, it is recognized as a disease in the medical community. So sure, I mean it's if you have a problem, we can definitely help.
Yeah. I remember there's a popular restaurant in town where there was a young lady waiting on my wife and I, and she's telling me her story. I could tell she's not from around here. And finally, she's like dancing around this stuff, and I said, "Honey, did you just get out of rehab?" And she goes, "Oh my gosh, does it show?" I said, "Listen, we're on your side. We're rooting for you. Don't be ashamed. Don't be worried about what people are going to think. You've done your thing. You're out here. You're a productive member of society. It's behind you. Just keep going. Don't worry about it." And man, it was just the look in her eyes, the relief. Somebody out there knows now, and they didn't think I was terrible.
Right.
You got to have a little family support people in the community. I think attitudes have changed, that people don't look down on folks because they've been to rehab. Kerrville's certainly full of people like that came here for rehab and stayed.
We have a large rehab community here in Kerrville. I mean, we got a number of rehabs around here, but
sure.
We have homes here for people that are getting out of rehab.
Right.
So it's a big community of people here that support it.
Right. So you don't go very far without meeting somebody that understands at least what you're talking about or what your situation has been.
Absolutely.
It's a good place to be for that. Right here in Kerrville. So if somebody if part of the reason they got in trouble, arrested, whatever, has to do with their addiction, that is something you're presenting in court, Patrick, and you've teamed up with LAHA to get people through the system and
right,
get them cured of their addiction so that they can go through because you're not going to get through your probation or whatever if you're still out there using.
And that's a conversation I have with a lot of clients who think, oh, yeah, probation would be great, that way I don't have to go to jail. And I'm like, well, it's not that easy.
You may not make it. Yeah.
You're going to be drug tested.
Right.
You're going to be required to have a job. You're going to be required to pay your child support. You're going to have these curfews. And you can't do that if you're still living that life of addiction, or you're going to have a hard time doing it.
Right.
So these things really need to be addressed probably before you get to that point to where you're making decisions in the case of, we're going to do this alternative sentence instead of prison time, whether it's a type of probation where you don't have a conviction or some type of other arrangement, but it needs to be dealt with before so you can do it successfully. If not, you're just wasting your time.
So the first step then is to call you. If somebody's in trouble, they want to call you because you can help them do this. Is anybody else doing this? Is this something you guys have cooked up and it's new?
There are some other people around the country that are doing this, other attorneys. It's I think it's something new that's out there as people get more information regarding recovery. I think everybody has a family member that's probably had some problem or knows somebody that's been through recovery that's successful at it. I think a lot of people in this day and time are looking at how much money we're spending on incarcerating people. I mean, the United States has the highest incarceration rate of any other country in the world.
Well, people get early release. There's not room for the real criminals, and you got a guy out here who was smoking pot, and he got caught doing it over and over again. He's in prison taking up a bed.
Right. Instead of trying to get him, to get clean or treat whatever issue he has that's causing this problem and getting him back in that workforce, it snowballs. If they're in jail, then, maybe mom needs support taking care of the children. That's taxpayers' money. The war on drugs has not been successful. I mean, we're just throwing money at it. So we need to treat the problem instead of trying to wrest our way out of it.
Well, the thing I appreciate about Patrick Ofiel is that he's, there's a lot of attorneys that go, okay, well, I'll take your money, we'll get you probation, and I may see you again later when you get in more trouble. You're actually, you're walking this thing all the way back to the source.
And that's part of our job. We're not just attorneys. I mean, that's why they call us counselors, although we're not licensed counselors like the people at LAHA or something like that. But you have to deal with these issues. I mean, we deal with the legal side of it, but you have to deal with the underlying issue, or your client's not going to be successful, and that's not in their best interest.
All right. Well, sounds like a good program, a good team.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's the circle of life. Patrick and I grew up together.
Don't start singing the note, John.
But let me tell you, right?
Don't be doing that to me.
Right. Well, Patrick went down. He went off to law school. I took a couple detours and landed in the treatment industry. And now we've kind of circled back to partner up and really focus on this. And
you guys are like high school buddies, elementary school.
Right before that, I think it was more like
junior high, and then high school. Yeah. So so we got a good plan in place. He's got a great practice, and philosophically we line up, and we care about the same things. So I think it's a great deal, and we're doing some great things. So
all right, well, Patrick, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm located here in Kerrville. The office number is 792-LAW-1 or 792-5291.
792-LAW-1 is the easy way to remember it. Patrick Ofiel, attorney at law, and it's called the what defense?
Recovery defense.
Recovery defense. If you want to know more about it, just give Patrick a call. This is Classic Rock 94.3 Rev-FM and The Harley Show.